Hello and welcome back to Rage Gaming, and yes, more Subnautica talk. I've been covering the details for Subnautica 2 in the lead up to finally getting proper information, and a few weeks back now they suddenly dropped this teaser trailer with various surrounding information at last. And man, there's been a lot of new information since my last video, so let's cover it all. The big detail is that early access has been announced, that they're going to have that early access release sometime 2025. The official description is this: Subnautica 2 will be an early access game, meaning it will be in active development at release, so you may encounter bugs, in development features and performance issues. We'll be adding additional biomes, creatures, craftables, and narrative as we proceed. Join us in early access and help us shape the future of Subnautica 2. So, here's my forewarning. I have played Subnautica in its early access period maybe 6 or 7 times in its entirety, and then multiple times after it released. I also followed the early access version of Below Zero, so I have a pretty reasonable expectation of what's going to happen. Subnautica 2, if it is like what we've seen before, will be in an original area with nothing around it, but it'll be a few months before they add a new area and a new biome, and it might even be empty. Then they'll add the creatures, the story, and the areas that are going to be interesting within it, but each time they would add something new, it'd be cool to go look at, but there'd be nothing there. I remember being blown away when I found like a rusted old base that I hadn't made, but then there was nothing there, no story. So we should expect the same for Subnautica 2 and at least its first early access version. That is my forewarning then, that if you're really excited for Subnautica 2, for the story and the creatures and everything, I would give it a little bit of time before you really look into it or play it as the early access progresses. The way they do this has been greatly successful, and so it doesn't surprise me that they're doing it again. But if you're looking for the full release of the game, it's not going to be when that early access first comes out. Alright, so for the previous Subnautica games, they were all developed in Unity, but Subnautica 2 is now created on a different engine, Unreal Engine 5. So we've got much greater capability here, and that's shown in lots of different screenshots and the technology that I'm excited to talk about. I expect it's going to lead to some development issues during the early access period, where they're really ironing things out, and that's more so going to be the case when I think about the multiplayer stuff, because yes, this is the first game of the series to have multiplayer as an official option. They're going to allow up to 4 players in one game. Subnautica 2 should actually be balanced then around multiple people if you choose to play that way, but it's still going to be completely solo in experience if you want as before. But with the multiplayer features, I expect bugs and issues that they're going to have to work out during the early access. So again, that's why that's going to be a good format for them. Officially though, it's coming to Steam and the Epic Games Store and PC in general, as well as Xbox. So it doesn't seem like they have plans for PlayStation initially. Maybe they were purchased, I guess. But what's going to be the story and setting for this new game? Well, it's going to be on a different planet and with a new story and with new characters. But the context of that is probably going to really affect how the story goes for Subnautica 2. Because Subnautica 2 is the first dedicated sequel, where Below Zero was officially a standalone expansion. So the first game and then Below Zero were both on the same planet, but this dedicated sequel takes place in a different location, on a new planet. Officially, Subnautica 2 takes place sometime after the events of Below Zero. The events of Below Zero were a pretty big deal. I'm now going to recap and remind you of the big story of Subnautica 1 and then Below Zero, which will highlight the key details of both games and lead into Subnautica 2. So, fair warning on spoilers as we're about to go through them. So, right to the point. There's more lasting impact and implications after the events of Below Zero compared to Subnautica 1. In Subnautica 1, we essentially escaped a remote alien planet via rocket after surviving a crash that led us to be stranded alone on that planet. Some kind of sickness existed on that planet, and some sort of alien race once lived there too, as we find out via all their strange structures and setups. As it turns out, that alien faction created measures to prevent anyone or anything that was infected from ever leaving, and everything on that planet becomes infected. So we have to finish what the aliens were doing, attempting to finish the cure for the infection, known as Kara. And so you ultimately deactivate the planet-wide quarantine, build a rocket and escape. So, big picture, in the end, a random guy escapes a random planet. But obviously that infection's a big deal. So, meanwhile in Below Zero, 2 years later, a big research mission was ongoing on that same planet. We play a different character that has actual voice acting, and there's NPCs and so on. This time, the story is much more direct though, rather than passive. The Altera company left this planet suddenly after some kind of incident, leaving all of these abandoned research stations around. The aliens that set up the systems during Subnautica 1 are playing another large role here, but more directly, because our character hears a distress signal, and then we go follow it to find an almost powerless world's alien sanctuary, which holds an alien mind. This is a being from that alien faction from the first game called the Architects. Alan, as we begin to call him, downloads himself right into your brain, and then you have this journey together to create a new body for Alan. Alan basically wants to return to his homeworld without Altera finding out about it. Together you go on to neutralize the possible Kara infection from ever coming back and rebuild a body for Alan. This is when Alan reveals to you that he was an architect scientist and was trying to create the original cure. Though, through his attempts, he basically let it spread beyond those tests and ultimately released it upon the planet. So after all that, Alan opens a phase gate and returns to his home world to see what's become of his fellow architects. You, Robin, agree to go with Alan, but you have no idea what you're about to experience. Therefore, the story of Subnautica 2 is, well, up in the air, but we do know some things because this takes place after the events of Below Zero. Therefore, the infection Kara has been cured on planet 4546b. And 2 years later, the last remaining alien, an architect called Alan, successfully cleansed the last source of it. So Alan, alongside the player character of that time, Robin, have left to go to the architect world. Subnautica 2 takes place for the first time then on a new planet. But obviously, why? When? What happened when Sam went to the alien home world? Here's the description we have for the new story in Subnautica 2. A new world awaits alongside an all-new story. You are a pioneer traveling to a distant world, but something's amiss. The ship's AI is insisting you carry on this mission, yet the world is too dangerous for humans to survive on, unless you change what it means to be human. What creatures, intelligent or otherwise, await you? This was alongside the new teaser trailer that kind of has a pretty straightforward story, with a new character that was neither the original character or Below Zero's. So while exploring here, we have a new reef area, get surprised so we swim away, and then we get sucked down into this dark void by these intense currents. Down in that darkness, we are saved by a second character, also a new face, in a new version of a sea moth or sea truck. But that relief is short-lived because down here is also a new creature, a kind of giant new Leviathan, a kraken life form. And that's the last thing we see in the teaser trailer. Fortunately, there's lots of other media like the screenshot showing the kraken and the two characters again, but all of that suggests that there's going to be a new dangerous mechanic to exploration. These massive holes that have some sort of pull, forcing you down into the depths suddenly. But that aside, what's this idea that we have to change to survive on this planet? Are we going to become some sort of half human, half fish? Or even half architect? So that's context and story and the big details of the game. Let's go into the more specific stuff. Like, what about new mechanics and technology? That's one of my favorite aspects of the Subnautica games, be it the base building or the actual technology, the vehicles, the tool creation, all of that stuff's really fun. Here's their official description. Survival depends on utilizing the right tools, alongside basic items such as your scanner and flashlight. You'll find recipes for more advanced tools and submersibles, and bases are going to be more customizable with an overhauled building system. So base building has changed in a big way, but we don't know the details of it. But it was definitely one of the more fun aspects of the original games. I loved those scanner rooms that would reveal the terrain around you at huge ranges. I liked setting them up in the super deep areas when I was exploring for the first time. So what is the new cool technology? Well, we do see a bit of it. Say in that teaser trailer, there's the rebreather, the helmet. It's changed to now be a full-on helmet rather than a mask, covering our head with full protection. The suit's changed, similar to a reinforced diving suit, but with some new visual updates. And the scanner's changed too. It now has that little hologram that would normally be above, say, a sea glider. And we get a better look at that scanner in a moment in some screenshots. Obviously, we also have the new sea moth, or that sea truck style vehicle the second character showed up in, seeming like a middle point between the two, which is good because I don't know, I think a lot of people loved the sea moth and people weren't so into the sea truck. The only other thing that was noticeable about the tech we saw in the teaser is how the critically low oxygen information on the helmet suddenly disappeared. That happened when the other character came close while in that new vehicle. So based on that, I'm thinking a multiplayer mechanic here could be by bringing a vehicle near an ally, you kind of AoE restore oxygen. Or maybe, you can just be near a vehicle and it'll do that even in single player now. Now fortunately, there was another piece of tech revealed in some official images they put out. This image here shows the player swimming forward at great speed alongside an ally. They both have these kind of jet engines all over their hands and wrists that could be a new version of the original Sea Glide. And with the scanner not being above it anymore, they've changed it, mechanically too. So this double arm jet could be a much more new and effective Sea Glide, which both looks cool and fun. And so when we look at the new scanner, we see that hologram above it. Though in this case, the player's scanning a creature. Here's the official description about that topic. Uncover a rich world full of mysterious life forms, from the smallest fish to the largest leviathans. Scan creatures to learn more about them, and use your biosampler to take samples for study. As you learn more about this world, you will evolve your genetics to adapt your body for survival. So that's how we're going to change our character physically. We're going to scan all the different life forms, previously just done for fun and lore, right? But now it serves a real function. We'll use that information to change. Maybe by scanning specific fish, we'll be able to deal better with cold or heat in different areas, or the increased pressure, maybe longer oxygen capacity. That also references the fact that it's a completely new planet, which also means, new creatures. We probably won't see a single familiar fish or life form on this planet, which is awesome, because it means it's going to be a much fresher experience compared to Subnautica 1 to Below Zero. Also, not to mention that Below Zero was literally much smaller in size and scale, telling a direct story in a more limited environment. That's what was lost from those two games. Subnautica 1 was much more sandbox and free, and honestly a lot scarier. But Below Zero was an expansion after all, not a sequel. Here's their official description on that topic. From towering underwater cliffs to lush coral fields, this aquatic alien world is brimming with vibrant and breathtaking biomes, each teeming with diverse ecosystems and unique creatures. But something isn't right. The world is out of balance. What's happened here? What's happened to you? And more importantly, where are we? It sounds like amnesia or, you've been forced here. And that's why I'm thinking the architects must be involved. But finally, they say this. This world is vast and deep. Venture beyond the safety of shallow waters, descending into a dark unknown. Wonder and dangers lurk around every corner. To survive this planet, you'll need to push beyond your boundaries and unlock the secrets of this strange world. So, they're leaning nicely back into the horror element that hit so good in the original, but again was pretty lacking in Below Zero. I think they've really learned what made Subnautica 1 so special, and now that they have the Unreal Engine 5 to build something truly big and scary within, it's very exciting, and I can't wait to see what they've done with it. So hopefully that early access won't be too late into 2025, but we'll see. But yeah, that's everything I wanted to discuss and highlight today. We'll be back with more Subnautica coverage when there's more information we want to discuss. But until then, I've been Hollow, you've been you, thanks for watching.
Josh, Cotton, and Hollow with the videos, dropping the humor like a hammer on your tippy toes, bringing entertainment on a daily arrangement to take our insanity and turn it into entertainment. Yes, I said entertainment twice, to reiterate that it is nice to look into your faces on a mostly daily basis when you let us in your homes to make the whole world a stage. Goodbye.